What's up guys, today's video is all about updating your Shopify theme. Whether you actually need to update, what are the benefits of updating, what are the disadvantages or the problems that you might encounter. And also, I'll give you a few tips on how to actually update in a way that minimizes the amount of settings that you might lose, or how to move your code changes across, as well as how to find those code changes if you're not sure what kind of code changes you made in the past. First thing I want to discuss is, do you need to update? A lot of people, I think, feel pressured to update because they see this little blue dot with whatever theme version is now available and they think, okay, I should update. A couple of years ago, this wasn't the case. We couldn't actually see this. And so when updates to your theme came out, you wouldn't know. You would happily use your theme for 2 or 3 years without any problems. But now that we can see this notification, people think that they need to update every time, and that's simply not the case. You might feel pressured to update because you think it's kind of like updating your phone or your computer, where there are important security updates, things that protect you from hackers and viruses. This might be the case with WordPress, for example, but this is not the case with Shopify. With Shopify themes, they're kind of just the front end layer of the store. They're just the presentation. They're just visual. It doesn't put you at any extra security risk or anything if you don't update your theme. The only disadvantage of not updating your theme is that you may be missing out on the latest features of the latest version of your theme. If you've had custom code changes made to your theme, maybe those code changes are more important to you than the latest additions to the theme, right? And so that might be a reason not to update. Another thing that you can pay attention to is the version numbers. So for example, if you're on Dawn 7.0, it might not be that valuable for you to update to Dawn 7.0.1, right? But if you're on Dawn version 4 and we're up to Dawn version 9 now, then you'll probably get a lot more features by updating, right? So it makes more sense for you to update. In general though, if you're looking for the answer to the question, how often should I update? I would say that once a year is fine. Before we get started, you need to understand that you may be in one of 2 or 3 situations. The best scenario is that you can see this blue dot and it's saying that the next version of your theme is available. In this case, when you click Add to Theme Library, it's going to add another copy of the theme into your store. Okay, it's not going to overwrite anything. That never happens in Shopify, so forget about that. It's going to add another copy, and it's going to copy across all your theme settings. So your content, your sections, your templates, everything you set up for your home page using the theme customizer, all of that is going to be automatically copied across to the new version. The only thing that's not going to be copied across are your code changes, if you have code changes. If you don't have code changes, then you don't really have any problems. You can go ahead and do this. If you do have code changes, you need to copy across those code changes manually later by editing the code, by copy and pasting, and I'll show you a few ways you can do that. You may not know exactly where your code changes are. I'll explain how you can maybe track them down. Some of you will not see this blue dot. You won't have this next version available notice like this. And this will happen if you have a third-party theme that is not from the theme store, or simply you uploaded your theme using a zip file. Okay, so as you can see, this is Dawn. This is the default Shopify theme. There should be no problem with updating it, right? And yet I can't update it, and that's just because I uploaded this copy using a zip file. And so in this case, my content, my theme settings, everything that I set up in the customizer for this theme will not be copied across if I add Dawn version 9, and I'm going to have to copy those things across manually. What do I mean by manually? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can literally just go in the theme customizer and set up all your settings again. That's one way, and that's probably the safest way. But if that's too much work, if you have a very highly customized theme, then that just sounds like too much work to you. Then I will show you a way that you can do it by copying theme files, by copying certain files across. And that's these files like index.json, page.json, all of these JSON files. These actually contain your theme settings. Everything that you've edited using the theme customizer gets recorded into these JSON files. So by copying these JSON files to the newer version of your theme, you save yourself a lot of time and effort. And that's basically what Shopify is doing here, okay? So when they say the copy will include your content, sections, and templates, what they mean is that they can automatically carry across your JSON files. But if they don't, then we're just going to copy those files ourselves, okay? This is something you can do if you're careful. I will also quickly mention the Theme Updater app. So if you're in this kind of situation where you got your theme from a third party and so you can't do the automatic update through Shopify, the Theme Updater app will let you do that if you got your theme from Out of the Sandbox, Pixel Union, or Archetype themes. Okay, these are some of the most popular themes on Shopify, particularly Out of the Sandbox as Turbo, Flex, Superstore. If you're using any of these themes, then you will be able to update using the Theme Updater app, and it will keep all of your customizations. And by the way, if you're considering buying one of these themes, then I have a discount code that you can use. Simply go to checkout in any one of these stores and use the discount code FAST10 for 10% off. So now let me demonstrate how to copy those JSON files across from your old theme to a newer version. Here I've got my two themes, Dawn 7.0 edited, and as you can see it does have the blue dot, but I'm not going to be using this because I'm demonstrating how to copy the JSON files manually. So it's going to be the process that you would use for this kind of scenario. Let's imagine that's my main theme. It's got various customizations inside it. For example, it starts with a rich text block saying this is my main theme. It also has some custom product templates. So I have the default product template, but I also have a template for backpacks, for camera, and for tea. Okay, and they have different settings in these templates on the product page. And I want to keep all these templates and I want to move them across to Dawn 9.0. And how did I get this latest version? I simply went to the theme store and downloaded, just click try theme to download the latest version of Dawn. So now let's open up the code for both of our themes, okay? I want them side by side in two tabs. So I'm just gonna click here and Command or Control click edit code to open that in a new tab. And then the theme I'm gonna be copying to Dawn 9.0, I'm going to go into here and enter the code editor. I also want the new theme to the right. You can do whatever you prefer, but this just makes sense to me. You don't want to mix these up, okay? You don't want to accidentally copy a JSON file from the new theme, which will be full of the default Shopify theme settings. You don't want to accidentally copy this and paste it into your old theme, because then you'll overwrite and lose your changes. You always want to be going from your old theme to your new one. Okay, so the first thing that you'll want to copy is a file called settingsdata.json. This file is all your global theme settings. It doesn't relate to any specific template or page. It's this tab here. When you click on theme settings and you have colors, typography, layout, things that affect your entire theme. That is actually kind of the most time consuming and boring part of updating your theme if you're doing it manually in the theme customizer here. So it's a big time saver if you can just grab all of this with Command A, Control A, copy it, and then go into your new theme, open up settingsdata.json, select everything, delete, and just copy in that settings data from the old theme. Let's save that. And luckily that worked right away. Now let's take a look at our theme. As you can see, it now has this dark green color that is on my older theme, right? So the colors, the fonts, all of those things have been adjusted. However, the pages still don't have the sections or the content that I added in my old theme, but it's already looking a lot like my old theme. The favicon has come across, the colors have come across, all of these settings. So that's the first thing, settings data.json. Now, the next big one is the home page. and the home page is in index.json. All the changes that you make on the home page are recorded here in index.json. For example, on my theme, this text, this is my main theme. You can see that text right here. And we see we have a rich text section, then we have the featured collection section, then we have the multi-column section, right? Exactly as we have here. Rich text, featured collection, multi-column, and so on. So all we need to do, in theory, is copy all of this and then go to the new theme, find index.json and paste that in on top, right? Replacing everything that was there. I've tested this before and it's probably not going to work. As you can see, there is an error. This is a great example of the fact that this copying JSON method is not going to work 100% of the time. It's kind of a hack, isn't it? Shopify doesn't tell you about this. They don't endorse that you do this. I'm just teaching you this as kind of like a life hack or a trick for you to save time when you can, but just be aware of the fact that it doesn't always work. And if it doesn't work, then for the index page, the home page, in this situation, you should probably just look at these sections here and set up the same sections manually using the theme editor. In my situation here, I'm actually going to try and fix this issue. It's saying tag p is not permitted. And I noticed that when I add the same block in Dawn version 9, for some reason, this text is added without these paragraph tags, right? I just tested by adding a rich text block and then seeing what the JSON was like. And it makes it like this. So I'm simply removing those p tags and now I'm going to save. And now it works. Now, I don't know the exact explanation behind that. I think Shopify has updated how JSON files are recorded, but either way, we can see that it's copied most of the sections across. When I refresh my theme now, as you can see, that looks exactly like my Dawn 7.0, exactly like my old theme. So now we've copied both the global theme settings and we've copied all the homepage settings. So I hope that made sense, guys. Now you would go ahead and do this for any other page templates that you want to copy. So you have the default product page, of course, you have the default collection page, the default static page, the default blog page. If you need that list, you can again check my blog on this topic. I'll link it in the description and you'll find this list. So there's product.json, collection.json, article, blog, cart, and page.json. You would simply go here and find all of these. Here's article.json right here, blog, cart, page.json down here, and so on. Product.json, this is the default product template. And as I mentioned before, I have some custom product templates in this theme, backpacks, camera, matcha tea, right? And those would simply be written as product.backpacks.json, product.camera.json, product.matchatea.json. And all you need to do here, let's go into our Dawn version 9 and under the templates folder, because these are all in the templates folder, right? So under the templates folder, we're going to click add a new template, select a template to create. It's going to be a JSON template and it's going to be a product template. And the file name is going to be product.backpacks.json, like this. So now we have product.backpacks.json and we can copy everything from the old theme into the new one. And you would do the same for camera and matcha tea. And guys, the final step after you've copied all the JSON templates across is not to immediately publish. You should always go through and double check that everything is there. You should go through every page template and check that all your sections are there, that everything looks good. And this is your opportunity now to actually use those new things that are in the updated version of the theme. Right? This is the reason that you updated, so that you could kind of maybe redesign your store, and this is your opportunity to do that now. Okay, and finally, I can address this very common question, which is how do I update my theme if I made code changes to it? Well, first of all, I want to show you something. I want to show you the way that a professional developer would do it. We always use a tool called Git, and this is basically something that allows you to take a backup of your theme, or basically like a save point in a game, and it lets you see what you did on what date, what file was changed, and exactly what lines of code were changed in that. So here's the entire file and here's the code that was added. And then if I was to update this theme, finally I would be able to compare all the files and see all the changes across the entire theme and move them across quite easily. So if you've worked with a developer before, then they've likely set this up on their own computer for your theme. So they have a backup of your theme and they have some history of changes. So if you want to update your theme, then I recommend going back to that same developer, because that will be a lot easier for them than if you go to a new developer and they won't have this history of changes. Okay, so that's if you worked with a developer before, but what if you didn't work with a developer, you just did some code changes yourself? Maybe you followed one of my tutorials or just something you found online, copied and pasted it into your theme code, and you've forgotten what that was or what file was changed, and now you want to track down those code changes. Let's have a look at this theme where I have some code changes, and you'll notice when you look at your theme code that there's these little dots next to some of the files, and these dots actually mean that this file has been edited at some point in the past. Now you can ignore the files that end with .json, because if you watch the previous chapter of this video, I explained that the JSON files record any settings that you make in the theme customizer, so they're basically always changing. You can ignore any changes in the JSON files, but let's go here into sections, for example. You'll notice that here on these liquid files, there have been code changes, okay? And that's because of modifications that I've made. So let's open up main product.liquid, and as you can see here, we have this dot and recent changes, and it's saying current. And these are all the different snapshots that we have of different versions of this file. So as you can see, I was probably working on this file maybe, I don't know why there's so many, but we have here the original file as well. And we can use this, okay? So you're wondering, where in this file did I make code changes, right? Especially if you can't really read HTML well, it'll be very confusing. But what you can do is use an online tool that is a lot like Git, called diffchecker.com. And what we're going to do here is paste in the current version, okay, select all with Command or Control A, paste it here into the changed text. And then we're going to go back to the original version. Don't save, okay? Do not save. But this has switched back to the original, and we're just going to copy this and paste it into the original field here, and we're going to click Find Difference. And here we can see this view of the two files side by side, and we can see that there have been 315 additions. That means 315 lines of code have been changed. And here on the side we can see where they are in the file, but let's just scroll down to them. And here we can see the code that has been added. Doesn't exist in the original, exists in the current version. And it's all highlighted. And it's very easy for you to copy it, maybe even from here, and then find the same place in your new theme and paste it in. So we have two parts here. And this is actually from my related products block tutorial video. I'll show you exactly how I would move these changes across to my new theme. I'm simply going to click here. I believe that selects this entire block, and I'm going to copy. And then in this tab, I've got my new theme open. Okay, Dawn 9.0. I'm going to look for the exact same file. It was main product.liquid. So I'm looking for main product.liquid. And here I'm going to try and find the same place. So I can copy this code, add it in the same place. So we're looking for block in section blocks, case block type. It's line number 206. It might be a different line number in the new theme. So let's check 206. Yeah, it looks quite different here. And what I'm looking for is the start of that block loop. So here we've got the same thing, case block type, and then it goes when app. And we can see that after our block, it's like when app. So basically I'm going to paste that code right in here. Okay, there's two parts to it, so I'll do the same for the next part. This is where the block schema begins, and I'll paste this code as well. And then you can save. And that's it for main product.liquid. I think usually you won't have such a large chunk of code. It will be more like minor code changes that you made, and it'll be more like this, so it'll be easier to copy across, I think. You will also likely have changes in your theme.liquid, and these might be various changes that you might not have made manually. They could be made by apps. So let's see the difference here. You can see that I've added just some Google site verification. Then we have some render Pagefly head. This is obviously being added from the Pagefly app. I did not add this myself, and I wouldn't worry in your case about moving this across. And this is also coming from a couple of apps, and this was added automatically. And I wouldn't worry about moving this across manually either. In general, if you have app code in your theme, then I recommend contacting the app developer. In many cases, when you update your theme, like with Pagefly, Pagefly will realize that you've updated your theme, that you've published a new theme, and they will automatically add their code to your newly published theme. If you are missing some app code, then I highly recommend contacting the app developer. They're often very happy to help you with installing any required code. And so that would be the case for all these files where you can see that it's called theme.pagefly.liquid, theme.shogun.landing.liquid, right? So even though it's got this little dot next to it, and I said that you should check every file with the dot next to it, but I mean, ignore these files that were automatically generated. So ignore the .json files as well. You can ignore Pagefly section.liquid, Pagefly settings.liquid, Shogun products.liquid. All of these were added in by apps automatically, and also things like collection, gem backup default. This is from gem pages. You will find eventually that there aren't that many files that you need to check in diff checker. You should check theme.liquid. You can ignore these, you can ignore .json. And in my theme here, basically the only files with actual coding changes, not related to apps or anything, but modifications that I made myself, are announcement bar.liquid, and then main cart footer.liquid, main product.liquid, and then these two, cart drawer, cart notification, and free shipping.liquid. Those are like, 5-6 files that I would check in diff checker and then manually copy the code across. With this particular file, free shipping.liquid, it actually does not exist at all in the new version of the theme, and that's because this is a completely new file that I made. And if you have something like this, like a new section or a new snippet in your theme, completely custom, then you just need the entire file. So we're just going to copy this, go into your new theme, and this was a snippet in the snippets folder. So I'm going to go into the snippets folder, add a new snippet, free-shipping.liquid, name it exactly the same, and then just copy, paste all the code in and save. So now you have that file. It is a slow process. It is rather detailed to move code changes across from one theme to another. You do have to be very careful. And if things are getting a bit too complicated, then I do recommend hiring a developer. Even if you haven't worked with a developer before, still, they will be able to see the differences between your new theme and your old theme. They'll find those code changes and they will carefully copy them across without breaking anything. I think that's all for today. If I get any new questions, then I will update the blog post. It's a lot easier to update a blog post than to post a new video or something. So go and check that out on ed.codes, and it's under tutorials. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Good luck with updating your Shopify theme, and I'll see you next time.